A mechanic working under a vehicle found himself in a life-threatening situation when the massive machine shifted without warning. This incident clearly illustrates the zero margin for error when working beneath a heavy commercial bus. The worker was performing a routine check directly underneath the yellow school bus, trusting that the vehicle was fully secured and stable. Suddenly, the bus moved, rolling slightly or shifting its position due to an inadequate brake or chocking failure. The mechanic reacted instantly, scrambling to pull himself out of the crush zone in a split second. Never ever rely solely on the parking brake when working beneath a vehicle of this size. Always use heavy-duty wheel chocks, fully inspect the lift points, and maintain a safe distance from any potential path of travel. In a chaotic construction zone, a routine maneuver by heavy equipment turned instantly into a catastrophic safety failure. This video demonstrates the absolute danger of failing to maintain clearance from massive tracked machinery. A large crawler crane begins to rotate its upper structure and move its tracks on the busy site. A worker, focused on his immediate task, positioned himself far too close to the tracks. The operator, dealing with massive blind spots, failed to see the worker near the undercarriage. In an instant, the weight of the machine rolled directly over the worker's lower body. Never ever stand near the tracks of a moving crane or excavator. Always maintain a generous exclusion zone of at least 10 feet and ensure constant communication with the operator. Never assume a driver can see you. Working beneath a raised dump truck bed presents one of the most immediate and dangerous crush hazards. This incident shows the catastrophic result of relying on hydraulic systems without proper mechanical bracing. A worker positioned himself in the narrow gap between the cab and the raised truck bed, performing adjustments. The entire weight of the bed was held up only by its hydraulic system, a critical point of failure. Without warning, the hydraulic support failed. The massive metal bed crashed instantly downward, leaving the worker trapped in the pinch point. Never ever work beneath a raised load without utilizing hard mechanical props or safety braces rated for that weight. Always lock out the hydraulic controls and ensure zero potential energy before entering the danger zone. In a severe breakdown of safety rules, one critical misstep near a moving train turns an ordinary journey into instant disaster. A worker or passenger stands dangerously close to the tracks, attempting to board a carriage as the train gains speed. The person approaches the moving convoy, focused on finding a secure handhold. The train is already traveling too fast for a safe entry, creating immense wind shear and reducing any margin for error to zero. In such moments, the desire to save time overrides survival instinct. As the person attempts to step onto the carriage, the sheer momentum of the heavy vehicle takes over. A slight slip of the foot or a sudden change in speed is enough to overwhelm control. The powerful external forces instantly cause a loss of balance. This highlights the absolute danger of trackside proximity and moving vehicle entry. Railways demand total respect for speed, motion, and designated boarding zones. Never ever attempt to board or alight a moving train. The risk is not worth the consequence. Train doors and steps must remain closed while in motion, and all personnel must wait for a complete stop before attempting to enter or exit a vehicle. In a startling display of poor road awareness, a momentary stop leads to a devastating rear-end collision. A motorized tricycle pauses directly behind a large dump truck, creating a dangerous and unprotected buffer zone. The tricycle operator stops too close, eliminating any safe distance. Crucially, a second vehicle approaches from behind, failing to notice the stationary traffic ahead. The lack of safe spacing, combined with the incoming speed, makes a crash inevitable. In an instant, the rear vehicle impacts the tricycle, crushing the operator and the small delivery unit between the two heavy masses. This incident highlights the critical failure of maintaining reaction distance in traffic. Never ever stop your vehicle too close to the car ahead. Always maintain enough safe stopping distance to allow for a buffer, especially when situated behind large trucks. This crucial space is your only protection against a sudden rear-end impact. A critical misjudgment during routine yard work turns a simple task into a severe high-altitude fall. A worker uses a long-reach power saw, standing near the top of a standard ladder to prune an overhead tree limb. The setup is fundamentally unstable. The heavy saw's vibration and the long pole's leverage immediately extend the work far beyond the operator's center of gravity. This combination of height and dynamic tool use eliminates all safety margins. As the branch is cut, the sudden recoil of the heavy saw immediately overwhelms the worker's balance. They lose control and are pulled violently off the ladder. Never ever rely on a standard ladder for high leverage or vibrating power tool work. Always ensure the task is within safe reach and both feet are planted securely below the top step. For such tasks, use certified stable platforms designed to handle external forces. In a severe violation of safety protocols, entering the work envelope of heavy robotics turns a simple maintenance task into a crushing event. A worker steps into the active zone of a large industrial robot to handle a component, ignoring the machine's critical safety boundaries. The robot operates on a relentless, automated cycle. The worker enters the defined operational area without locking out the power or activating an emergency stop. This lethal assumption of safety eliminates all layers of protection. As the worker reaches for the part, the powerful robotic arm continues its motion and instantly pins the worker against the fixed conveyor assembly. Colleagues immediately rush in to hit the emergency stop and begin the rescue procedure. Never ever enter the programmed path of an active industrial robot. These machines do not recognize human presence. Before crossing any safety barrier, always use lockout-tagout procedures to de-energize the machine and physically verify that all movement has completely ceased. In a critical lapse of focus, a sudden slip on treacherous terrain turns a simple inspection into a severe falling incident. Equipped with safety gear, an adventurer approaches the edge of a deep gorge to assess the next move. The area around the crevice is damp and highly unstable. The individual steps forward for a better view, forgetting the fundamental rule: always maintain 3 points of contact on difficult ground. The focus on the objective overrides basic safety awareness. The wet surface offers no grip, and the foot instantly slides. Without time to correct the mistake, the person loses balance and falls violently into the deep chasm. A simple, yet critical, misunderstanding of elevator safety turns routine loading into an absolute disaster. The desire to keep the door open leads to a desperate and life-threatening choice. In a small delivery area, 2 workers are loading heavy water packages into a goods elevator. To keep the door from closing, an unattended package was previously placed directly on the threshold. A worker inside, wanting to maximize the load, removes this package, immediately initiating the door's closing cycle. Her colleague is left outside. Panic sets in. Instead of using the emergency stop or door open button, the worker tries to force the closing doors open with her bare hands. She then makes a fatal decision, attempting to squeeze into the narrowing space to exit the lift before it moves. The closing door forces her body into the gap between the car and the shaft wall, pulling her out of sight. This dangerous choice created a catastrophic exposure to the moving car and the open shaft. She instantly lost control of the situation. Never ever try to physically force an elevator door to open once the cycle has begun. Never attempt to exit a lift into the shaft space. Elevators are powerful machines governed by physics. Always use the correct emergency controls and never defeat safety interlocks by blocking doors with objects. Respect the lift car boundaries. They are your only protection. An uncontrolled release of compressed gas turns a routine vehicle check into a catastrophic industrial event. The devastating power of highly flammable vapor demonstrates why safety procedures cannot be ignored for a single second. At a depot, workers are dealing with a leak from a liquid gas tanker. The vapor cloud rapidly builds up, enveloping the area and the adjacent road. One worker is briefly seen attempting to secure the system on top of the truck, exposing himself directly to the escaping gas. This volatile state continues for crucial seconds as the massive cloud of unseen hazards spreads into the environment. When the inevitable ignition source is found, the result is instantaneous. The entire area is consumed by a powerful, violent energy release. The immediate surrounding structures and vehicles are subjected to an overwhelming force. Never ever perform maintenance on pressurized systems while gas is actively escaping. Always evacuate the area immediately when an uncontrolled vapor leak occurs, as the risk of ignition is absolute. Handling highly flammable materials requires strict adherence to ventilation and leak control protocols. Distance and swift evacuation are your only defenses against a catastrophic energy event. Every incident is a clear safety lesson. Act now to prevent the same failures. Share the most important rule you learned today in the comments. Your knowledge can save a life.